All right, welcome back to the channel. So the final episode for Mandalorian just came out, so I'm going to kind of do a review just for this episode, and at the end I'll kind of review the whole show in total. So let's just start off with this episode. I think it starts off pretty solid. And I'm obviously not going to go into too many spoilers here, but it starts off pretty solid. They're kind of hudded down and everything like that. But the problem is the story that they tell in this is very predictable. There are certain things that I expect Baby Yoda to do in this episode that happen. There are certain things that I expect the Mandalorian to do that happen. And I just think overall, I just don't really care enough about the storyline that they're bringing in this episode. I think the villain that they bring into this isn't interesting enough. I don't think he has enough backstory to be interesting enough. We just haven't seen him enough to establish him as a great villain. I think another problem is this TV show has the Disney effect and the Marvel effect where no one really dies ever. So there is in episode 9, spoiler alert for that movie, Chewbacca and C-3PO have potential deaths, but Disney doesn't stick with those deaths, therefore ruining the intensity and the impactful moments of those movies. This show has a certain thing with that. The main character, Mandalore, has a certain encounter, and it comes to that point where he might die, and he gets fixed really quick and just shrugs it off, which is kind of annoying to me. I want there to be fear of characters' deaths, and at this point, there's not at all for any character. I think the show ends off very happy, and obviously we're getting a season 2 next next fall, sorry. But overall, I just don't think this was a great season finale. It was decent, it did everything it was supposed to do, but I just wanted more, especially from Taika Waititi, who directed this. And obviously he does direct this, and you can tell immediately with the stormtroopers conversating between each other when they have Baby Yoda. But I guess the main thing, there's no real stakes in this episode. I think the final battle is kind of cool, and there is a death in this that ends up taking place, but it doesn't hit home for me because the characters are not built well enough. So if I had to give this episode, the season finale, a score out of 10, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Now for the whole show, I think the show has failed for many of reasons. Mainly, first off, I don't think a lot of the episodes are great. They are definitely filler episodes, and the most important thing for me is that the story has been predictable. As soon as I saw Baby Yoda in the end of episode 1, I knew the storyline they were going to tell. He's going to go rogue on everyone, and he's going to protect this kid. And that's just not an interesting story for me because we've seen it so many other times before. And I think a lot of the episodes, like the Bill Burr one that he's in, and a lot of the other ones, just aren't strong enough to make me that interested in the show. I think episode 3 and 4, especially the one where he goes and he fights the ATST, that is a very good episode. I like those kinds of episodes, those singular stories that were told well enough and introduce interesting new characters and give backstory for Mandalorian. That's what I like and want more of. But this show just hasn't given me enough. And honestly, the Mandalorian's kind of plain, and his backstory, they don't show enough of for me to feel for him for what's coming on. And especially with the villain at the end of the show, they kind of give an explanation why he knows Mandalorian, and I just don't feel it. I don't respect that choice, and I don't feel like that choice was earned, especially for the whole show. I do think Baby Yoda continuing is annoying. I'd prefer this storyline to end conclusively, and I would prefer the season to be a little bit longer and have Baby Yoda return to his people or his species, which have never been found before in Star Wars canon. And then Mandalorian goes on his next adventure. But we're not getting that. This next season is, spoiler alert, him going and trying to find Baby Yoda's species, the Yoda species. And I'm not excited for it. Honestly, this whole show has been disappointing for me. And honestly, I am just kind of I'm just kind of meh on it. It's like murky water. It's just meh. So if I'm going to give this show an overall rating, I think it had very few solid episodes. I think it had very few great episodes, 2 out of 8. And I think the rest were kind of boring and bad, especially the first episode being probably the worst episode of the season. So I'm going to give Mandalorian out of 10 for season 1, a 6.5 out of 10. Let me know what you think of the show down below. Let me know what you want from season 2. And I'll make sure to keep updating and keep reviewing other shows that come out that are important. I'll definitely be reviewing Mandalorian season 2 when it comes out next year. I just posted my Witcher season review, so go watch that. So make sure you guys stay tuned for everything. I'm going to be posting more content, movie content. My movie award show for my podcast is coming out next week, so please stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys on the next video.